What's up, guys? Welcome to the Chess Giant. This is Solomon Ordell, and for Season 2, Episode 5 of the SGA series, we got a game by my guy Piyush, and I think y'all will enjoy it and hopefully learn a thing or two along the way. Here we see him start off with the move e4 and face the French defense, and now continue with the somewhat rare line of the Steiner variation. White really trying to control the light square, specifically the square of d5. And honestly, if you're a French defense player, I think you got to play a move here like d5, putting pressure on both of these centralized pawns, or even a move like c5, trying to clamp down on that d4 square. But here we see the maneuver of knight e7 followed by knight g6 from black, and I honestly just think that this is too slow. Now, there are openings where we purposely give our opponent the center and then try to counterattack that center for the rest of the game. Openings include the Grunfeld defense, the Perk, the Owens, the Alekhine. But guys, this move of getting this knight to g6 is simply too slow. Black doesn't even have a fianchetto of the bishop, and this knight is only eyeing the squares of f4 and e5, which are going to be defended for quite a long time. And this really allows Piyush the opportunity to just naturally develop his pieces very comfortably with knight c3. And after bishop e7, we have knight f3, bishop e2, castling kingside, and now a move like a3, eyeing potential b4 ideas later on in this game. And now after c6 from black, bishop e3. Again, very comfortable position for white. And black's position is a little bit awkward. I mean, there are openings where you can stay within the first three ranks and be completely okay. The hippo defense being a great example of that. But this position in particular, I'm just not really feeling a lot of chemistry from the black pieces, and I'm not really sure what black's trying to do here. We see bishop f6, and now white continue with queen c2, and black try to expand in the center with e5, in which case Piyush continues to push with d5, putting some pressure on c6, and now black tries to lock things up with c5, in which case from white we now see this move rook a d1, and here black plays the move knight b8, bringing this knight all the way back to the first rank. And obviously, as y'all can see, black has a serious issue right now with developing their pieces, whereas white, we have literally developed all of our major and minor pieces. We have a very safe castle king on g1, and now we should try to expand and improve the positioning of our pieces and really try to gain space. In this position, we do have space in the center, and when you have space, you have time. And when you have time, you have the room and the flexibility to improve your positioning, gain more space, and really try to get your pieces in better spots. In this position, I think there's a few different ideas that could be good. I mean, even a move like b4 here, right? Just expanding on the queen side. We could always play a move like h3. There are some instances where even a move like g3 followed by h4 looking to play h5 could be called on. But here from white, we see the move of knight b5, right? And this isn't a blunder. This isn't a huge mistake by any means. It is putting a little bit of pressure on d6, but now black's just simply able to play the move a6. This knight ran back to the square of c3. But notice here the move of queen a4. In one sense, we are putting black in a bind, right? Because black can't capture our knight because we'd simply win the rook and go up the exchange. But at the same time, black could play this move bishop d7, and they're still in a bind. What do I mean by this? Well, this knight can't develop because we'd obviously just capture right off. And this pawn takes knight move still isn't available because we'd still win the rook, but we're also in a bind as well because our knight can't move without losing the queen, and our queen can't run away to b3 without us simply losing the knight. So I think it was smart of Piyush to avoid playing queen a4. Both sides are in a bind, and I just don't see white would want this in a position like this where we have so much space and so much flexibility with our pieces. So as mentioned, y'all, after this move a6, we see the move of knight c3, and now black continuing with bishop d7, in which case white plays b3, and now from black we see this move queen e8, making it very obvious that they're trying to break through with b5. And honestly, in this position, if I were white, I would recommend the move of b4, or maybe rook b1 first, and then the move of b4, and just try to break open this queen side. I mean, if black does play b5, we're completely okay with that. They're very underdeveloped, and we're going to be okay with having an open game when we have better coordinated pieces. But here we see the move of a4, which also has some pluses, that being that b5 simply isn't possible without black simply losing a pawn because we currently have so much pressure against that square. And notice now that we have this potential idea of a5, right? Really trying to expand on the queen side and get a grip of that b6 square. Black may have been a little bit worried about this, and I'm assuming that's why we see this move of a5. But guys, in chess, you got to ask yourselves, okay, I am getting something out of this move, but what am I giving up? Black is getting something, and that's this pawn on a4 not being able to advance anymore. But at the same time, they're simply giving up this square of b5, which we see knight b5 the very next move. What else could have black played to prevent the move of a5 without giving up the square of b5, which is currently defended. I'm going to be recommending the move of bishop d8. I think that this is a solid option, defends the square of a5. Obviously, this bishop has some hope now to come to a5 and put some pressure on our knight. And on top of that, it frees up this f pawn to push to f5, put some pressure on e4, in addition to f4 ideas, expanding on the king side and giving black more of a chance in this game. So here I think the move bishop d8 was the way to go, keeping the square of b5 available, and on top of that, gaining f5 ideas in the process. However, as mentioned, we see this move a5, and yes, this does get rid of the move a5, but now knight b5 is available, and Piyush takes advantage of this right away, attacking the pawn on d6. Here, black had the choice of trying to hold on to the pawn or simply get rid of this knight, and we see black get rid of the knight and then play this move b6. Black is making it very obvious that they're trying to lock this position up. And now from Piyush, we see this move bishop c4. Again, far from a blunder, but let's just analyze this position for a moment. What piece would we like to have on c4? This square of c4 looks like a very nice outpost. Obviously, nothing is going to attack it for quite a long time, but the answer is that this knight on f3 would go very well on c4 because it would attack the backwards pawn on b6 and the backwards pawn on the d file as well. Black would have to hold on to both of these pawns for the rest of the game, and this knight would not be touched anytime soon. But instead we see this move of bishop c4, and I just don't see what this move is really doing for white. Obviously it's opening up the square of e2, but at the same time, I mean, really it's just acting as a tall pawn. I can't really tell the difference between this bishop and a pawn on c4, so I would much rather have my knight on the c4 square, putting pressure on black's position. But again, not a terrible move. We see black continue with knight d7 and now white queen c1. I actually like this idea, really trying to put some pressure and really get some coverage on those squares of g5 and h6. We see black continue with h6, trying to unravel their position a little bit, maybe give their king a little bit of breathing room. And now white continuing with rook fe1, and now black continuing with knight h4, trying to trade down. A good idea from black in a cramped position where you don't have a lot of space. You want to trade down so that you have more room to maneuver your pieces. And when you have space, you don't want to trade down because you enjoy the fact that your opponent's pieces are very cramped and don't have much mobility. So this is a nice move from black, and we now see Piyush take the knight on h4 and now play this crazy looking move of bishop takes h6. A move like g3 is probably technically the best move, right? I mean, just getting this bishop back to a square like e7. We're now going to continue with h4, expanding on the king side, and we're just playing chess. But here again, we see this move bishop takes h6, and now after pawn takes, queen takes h6, flying in and attacking the bishop. And technically right now, black is better, but there's only one move that's going to give black a better game, and that is this move of queen e7. We see the move of bishop f6, which simply loses right away. And I gotta say, I mean, Piyush, even though this may have technically not been the correct option, black is in a tough spot because they have to play very strong and good defensive chess here with the move queen e7. Why is this move queen e7 so much better than bishop f6? Well, guys, this bishop on h4 is defending the key g3 square. Notice now, we can't play an easy rook lift like rook d3 and simply slide this rook over and checkmate the opponent's king because this bishop is right here. And if we try to do that, black now has, again, they have to play this move queen f6, trying to trade down. Just a moment ago, I mentioned that if you're cramped, you want to trade down so that your pieces have more room to operate and move around and get into a better spot. When you're playing defense as well, you want to trade down to try to get rid of the opponent's firepower, especially the opponent's queen on h6, which isn't even allowing your opponent's king to move. So guys, this move of queen f6 would have been very strong. Obviously, if white takes on f6, black's just going to play bishop takes f6, and black has a pawn advantage. And if we see a move like queen h5 from white trying to keep attacking chances alive with rook h3, black simply is able to take on f2 and get a back rank mate. Game over. So y'all, in your own games, when you face situations where your opponent sacks a bishop and gets 2 pawns in the process, they have a queen on really any of these 4 squares here, and your king is nearby, you got to be careful, especially concerning rook lifts. In this situation, this whole idea of rook d3 or rook e3 followed by rook g3 check, attacking this king. Now here black again played the move bishop f6, and now white has a very easy game. Rook e3, and now rook g3 simply cannot be stopped. I mean, I guess black could temporarily stop it with bishop back to h4, but in that case, okay, thank you for the bishop, and we're going to do the very next move. But here we see the move of bishop g7, in which case we have rook g3 from Piyush simply pinning the bishop on g7. And now in this position, we can actually just pre-move, taking with the rook or the queen, because in either case, it doesn't matter what black does. we're going to win this game the very next move, and we have ourselves a game over. Nice game by Piyush. Thanks for watching today's video. If you'd like to check out Season 1 of the SGA series, where y'all send in your personal games and they have a chance to be analyzed, click that playlist to the left. If you'd like to learn how to play the Ponziani opening, click that video to the right. Leave a comment down below to let me know what other videos you'd like to see covered on this channel, and as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.